Hi! When I first started playing tennis in 1976, we all played with a wood or a metal racket. However, it was a year later when I first laid eyes on this mysterious, revolutionary black racket with yellow racing stripes. I remember it vividly as I volunteered as a junior linesman for the Surf Resort Cup held here in Kona. I eventually found out it was a racket made from graphite, the first of its kind. Introducing the Aldila Cannon. Now, of course, I had to find out the price tag of this racket. To put things in perspective, my Garcia Pro 240 wood racket cost me $30, which is equivalent in purchasing power today at $156. The Aldila Cannon was an unprecedented $200, and today that equates to $1,048. So what did you get for $200 back then? Well, here are some things listed about the racket. It has the thinnest aerodynamic frame on the market, allowing considerably better maneuverability. All right, so I thought we should check the swing weight of the three rackets that I have here. And we'll start with the Aldila Cannon. And I already took these measurements, but for demonstration purposes, I'll go ahead and do a couple here. But this one came in at 351. I have my wood racket here, and this is actually the racket I was using back when I was playing. All right, so this one's also coming in at 351. So these two are similar in swing weight. And I have a T3000. The more popular one is a T2000, but I'll go ahead and take the swing weight of this one. And this one's coming in at 368. So based on the swing weight, the graphite and the wooden racket came in similar, and this metal racket, which is made out of steel, came out the highest at 368. Next, it says one-piece urethane foam handle molded to the frame for more effective shock absorption. Well, that's definitely something that will help with the shock, but I also think the head size. So let's take a look at the three rackets, and the wooden racket comes in at 65 square inches, the metal racket at 67, and the graphite racket at 73 square inches. So there is a difference in terms of the head size when you compare these three. Stiffer head eliminates torque and increase the size of the sweet spot. So this will be a good test to see how they come in terms of stiffness. So I'll go ahead and start with the graphite racket. All right, so this one's coming in at 59. I'll go ahead and do the wood racket next. Now you're going to notice that this is going to take a while because it's going to bend the racket. Well, it has to reach the racket first, but then it has to bend it, and it is going to bend. All right, so this one came in at 26. I did do the metal racket earlier, and the reading I got on down was 28. So you can see that the graphite racket had twice the stiffness if you're comparing it to what people were playing with back in the day. And finally, faster serves and livelier shots with control. So I thought I would take the static weight and compare the three rackets. First, we have the graphite racket. This one's coming in at 360 grams, which is the same as 12.7 ounces. Then we have our metal racket here. Okay, this one came out the same, 360. So they're both at 12.7 ounces. And finally, we have our wood racket here. And this one's coming out at 380 grams, which is the same as 13.4 ounces. I can't believe I was playing with a racket like this when I was 14 years old. Well, I decided to restring this racket as I thought it would be an interesting challenge since this racket is 48 years old and I'll be restringing it with a set of 38-year-old natural gut, and the packaging was open. So let me just show you what's in here. I have a set of, and this is the packaging of VS natural gut back in the day, and this is from 1987. So this racket actually has natural gut in it, but you notice how there's a broken string. And I don't know what happened to this set of gut, but you can definitely tell it's a lot more yellow than what's in here. I think this is Victor Imperial in here, but for some reason this gut turned really yellow. So I'm not even sure this will even last the stringing, but that's part of the challenge. Now the other thing I noticed is that I had to measure it out to see how much was on here. Normally these sets came in 33-foot lengths, but for some reason I had only 28 feet and 6 inches. So what I did is I actually measured the amount of string that I would need for each string, and according to my calculations I'll need 14 feet 8 inches for the mains and 13 feet 10 inches for the crosses. So that comes out exactly at 28.5, and I'll have a little extra to tie off the knots. I'm also going to reinstall the tubing, so you can see that it's on the bottom there, and there was some that was installed on the top, but I'm going to get it closer to the grommets and just make it look neater than what it is here. And I also decided to go old school, and I'll be using my Neos 1000 to string up this racket. While I'm stringing this Aldila Cannon racket, I thought I would share a little backstory about the event where I saw the racket, the player who was playing with the racket, and the company who made the racket. The name of this event was called the Ilikai Grand Prix, and it hosted 6 tournaments on 4 of the Hawaiian Islands. The players were comprised of Hawaii's local teaching pros and amateurs, but there was one Canadian who was a former world-ranked and Davis Cup player in this group. And yes, he was the owner of this mysterious graphite racket. His name was Peter Burwash. He eventually won the title, and after his pro career, he established Peter Burwash International, which manages operations at clubs and resorts worldwide. He recently passed away in 2022. This futuristic Cannon tennis racket was produced in 1977 by an American company, Aldila Incorporated. They were also the originator of the graphite golf shafts. The racket was constructed with continuous graphite fiber and Kevlar. It was heat resistant and virtually indestructible. And when compared to the rest of the rackets, it didn't warp and get mushy like wood and didn't fatigue like metal. It was Aldila's innovative tennis racket that started the evolution of graphite frames and was the model that other companies tried to copy. Well, I'm here on the last string, and you can see that I have this much length left, but I have to string one more, and unfortunately I'm going to be short. Now you can see that the other ends are pretty close. I guess if I had cut this one a little bit closer, maybe take an inch or so off of this one and an inch here, that would extend this 2 inches, and I would have just barely enough to possibly tie the tie-off knot. But you know, I'm going to go ahead and tie off this cross here. It's supposed to be a 16-20. It's going to be a 16 by 19. I'll go ahead and tie off, and we'll take a look at what it looks like. Well, here it is, the modified 16 by 19 pattern. Now you can see that there is a small gap here and a larger here, so it does look a little bit odd. You know, if I had cut maybe my mains a little bit shorter on each of these ends here, I would have gained a couple inches here. Maybe I would have had enough to tie off. But really the best solution for this situation would have been to string it one piece. Then I would have had, you know, less knot tails and more string. The tubing came out pretty nice though. I mean, I got it really nice and trimmed down to the grommet barrel, so that was my goal there. What I learned from this is I really should have gone one piece to ensure that I would have enough string to fully string this racket. Maybe some of you are too young to ever played with a wood or metal racket, but if you played tennis in that era, I'm sure it didn't take you long to convert to a graphite racket as the price tag became more reasonable. Most graphite rackets in today's market go for about $200. We should all be happy that with today's added technology, it doesn't cost $1,000. So what was your first graphite racket? I would like to know. Or are you still playing with a wood or metal racket? Thanks for watching. Unhappy stringing. And let your strings play. You didn't think I would keep the display racket strung improperly for very long, did you? So here I am restringing this racket again. In case you're wondering what the Hawaiian word hanaho is, it's like the English word encore. You would typically hear hanaho at performances like luau's or concerts where the audience wants to see the performance repeated. Well, in my case, it was a bad performance, but what I did is I measured exactly 28.5 feet and I restrung the racket one piece this time. Well, here's the finished product. So you can see with the one-piece stringing, I had a lot more leftover string to tie the knot at the end. So that really helped. It didn't help that I was only stringing at 30 pounds, so it didn't really stretch the string much. But now you can see that the crosses are fully installed. Thanks for watching. Happy stringing. And let your strings play.